Hi, I'm Lisa and welcome to my channel. I hope everyone's had a great week since my last video. I know I've certainly been busy and I'm really excited to share what I've been making this week. Before I get started, I'll just start out by telling you what I'm wearing, and it's called 7360. The fabric is from Spoonflower Fabrics and it's a cotton lawn. I've really enjoyed wearing it this summer, and if you want to hear a full review, you can go to my list of videos, and I think it's the second video that I made this year, and I will put a link to the video in the description below. One of my favorite charitable organization is called Samaritan's Purse. Each year they have a special project called Operation Christmas Child, where they collect shoebox gifts filled with school supplies, personal hygiene items, and toys for children. Since 1993, since they started, they have delivered more than 209 million shoeboxes to more than 170 countries and territories. The project delivers not only the joy of what for many kids is their first gift ever, but also gives them a tangible expression of God's love for them. Now, when I first started doing shoe boxes about 25 years ago, I first started out doing maybe a couple of shoe boxes, and then each year I started increasing the number of shoe boxes. And for the last 10 years, I've probably done about 24 to 30 shoe boxes a year. Now, I collect items for these shoe boxes all year long. I look for sales and clearances and good bargains. Also, I have a sister that does the same thing, and she collects and gives me a lot of items for the shoe boxes. So together we're hoping to do around 30 boxes this year. Now, when you put together a shoe box, on the outside you put a label on it that designates whether it's for a boy or girl and what age that child is. There are 3 age groups. The youngest is 2 to 4, there's 5 to 9, and then the oldest is 10 to 14. Now, if you go online and prepay the postage for these shoe boxes, when the labels print out, they'll have a barcode on them that is connected to your email address. And then when the shoe boxes reach their destination, the boxes will be scanned. You'll get an email that tells you what country your shoe boxes are being delivered to. In the past, I've always tried to include one handmade item in my shoe boxes. Some of the things I've made in the past were like crocheted scarves or caps. The last couple of years, I made little knitted caps for each of my shoe boxes. Now, my knitting skills are very, very basic, so what I did was use a circular knitting machine to make these hats. But I've also noticed that when I've got the emails where my shoe boxes have been delivered, that they've gone to countries like Mexico, Honduras, Guatemala, Peru, Madagascar, and other countries in Africa. So I started thinking that these children probably didn't really need, knitted warm caps and gloves or scarves, because it doesn't really get that cold in those places. So I tried to think of a few items this year that would be more practical and more useful for the kids. And in today's video, I'm going to share 7 items that I came up with to make for my shoe boxes. Now, these items not only work for Operation Christmas Child, but they would be great for other charitable organizations that deal with children, or just when you need a child's gift for someone in your family or a friend's child. So let's get started with the first gift item. The first item I made is for the 2 to 4 year old girl group. I wanted to make some pretty little girl dresses, and I decided that the 2 to 4 year old age group would be the best one to make a dress for, mainly because this group only includes 3 different years, 2, 3, and 4, where the other ones include a range of 5 years. So there's going to be less variances in their sizes than the other groups. The dress that I made is called the side panel dress. This was designed by Alyssa from the YouTube channel Thoughtful Creativity. She had designed it for another charity project called Project Dress a Girl, but I thought it would work really well for my project. It's a free pattern, and Alyssa does a full tutorial on how to make the dress, and I will link that in the description below. This is the dress that I made from the pattern. When you print out the pattern, it doesn't have the seam allowances added to it. I think I just didn't add seam allowances to it, so it would be a little bit smaller. I think it's a really cute dress. One of the stipulations for Dress a Girl was that it would have at least one pocket, so she's added these little side pockets right here, and those are cute. Operation Christmas Child doesn't really necessarily have guidelines for dresses. You just want them to be modest and, you know, appropriate length, not too short, not see-through. I wanted to make a dress that didn't have any buttons or zippers, because if they break or a button falls off, their parents may not have a way of mending them or putting the button back on. And that was one of the stipulations for Project Dress a Girl, that doesn't have any buttons or a zipper. So this just slips over the head. So it's fairly easy to make. It has self-bias tape around the neck and the armholes. And I think this was the first bias tape that I've made in a while. And I did get to try out my little bias tape makers that I had got from Madame Sew off of Amazon, and they worked pretty good. I think they take just a little bit of practice, and the more I use them, I'll get better at making the bias tape, but that did come in handy for getting that all pressed and ready to go. So it also has bias tape around the pockets. Now, she did say that you could eliminate this bias tape by just doubling your pocket and, you know, sewing the two pieces together and turning it wrong side out so that there's a seamed edge here and a seamed edge there. So probably the only most time-consuming things about the dress would be the bias tape and then putting this ruffle together. I think the ruffle is really cute, but when I make it again for Operation Christmas Child, I'll probably just eliminate the ruffle. She does show a version without a ruffle because most likely they may be hand washing these, and when you hand wash something, it doesn't always come out as wrinkle free as if you were able to put it in a dryer. And if they don't have any way of pressing it, then the ruffle may not look as good. So it'd probably be easier maintenance on this dress if it didn't have a ruffle. Now, one thing I forgot to do that I probably should have done was probably shorten this dress a few inches. Now, you want it to probably come at least knee length or right below the knee, but I think if a 2 or 3-year-old gets this, it will probably be just a little bit above the ankle. Hopefully it won't be dragging the ground. But if a 2-year-old gets this, then, you know, she may just have to wait like a year to wear it. But I think it's plenty large enough for a 3 to 4-year-old. And if they're a slim child, they could probably even wear it another year. So I thought this was really cute. This fabric is from Joann's that I got last year and had in my stash. Now, I did make one other dress, and it is the Anna dress by Sewing Patterns by Dee. I didn't count it as one of the 7 items because it's also a dress and it is a purchase pattern. And this is the only purchase pattern I have in the video. And I'll link it below. I got it off of Etsy, but I thought it was really cute. I wanted a dress that didn't have a zipper or buttons, and that was sort of adjustable for different size girls. And this one is with the little ties at the shoulder. This dress comes in sizes 1 month to 5 years, and I think what I did was just kind of go in between the 3 and 4 year lines on the pattern. This is how my finished dress came out. I think it's really cute. Of course, you can adjust the straps on it depending on the size of the child. It also has a ruffle. I think on both of these dresses, what I will do is, of course, eliminate the ruffle, and then I think what I'll do is put a border print, and that will dress it up, but it will make it easier to care for. One thing I did, I think I did make these straps a little bit narrower so that they would, I thought they would lay a little flatter in here and not be bunched up. I think they're still twisting a little bit. And this one doesn't have pockets, but you could probably easily add some little side pockets in the side seams. That shouldn't be too hard. Anyway, I really thought this was cute. These prints are, I think, from Hobby Lobby, and I believe they still have those. Now, the second item is a fun item that I made for my 2 to 4 boys group. I was thinking what would be fun for a little boy that age, and I thought, why not a superhero cape? Now, the pattern I chose is a free pattern. It's by Thread Riding Hood. It's called their superhero cape, and it comes in sizes 18 months all the way to adults, so you can make them for the whole family. Now, the first size is 18 months to 3, and the next size was 4 to 8. So I wanted it to be just a little bit bigger than the 18 months to 3 years. So what I did was just add, you kind of see the pattern. This only has one pattern piece too. I just added 1 inch to the bottom of the smallest size to just give it a little more length in case like a 4-year-old got it. But this is how it turned out. I've made 2 so far. This is my red version. Also, I didn't want it to be just a cape. I also wanted it to be sort of a little cuddle blanket. So what I did was make one side flannel. So this side's flannel. And then the other side is just a quilter's cotton. Now, I know what you're probably thinking is that Spider-Man doesn't wear a cape. I didn't have time to order anything, so really limited where I live to buy fabric. So I went to Hobby Lobby, and I thought they'd probably have a few superhero prints, but the only superhero they had was Spider-Man. And I thought these little boys, they're going to love Spider-Man. They're not going to care if he wears a cape or not. I thought this print looked well with blue and red flannel, so I got some red flannel, and I also have some blue flannel. So for the applique, I just took like a round plastic lid that I had that was about 6 inches across, and I centered it over one of the Spider-Men in the print and cut it out and used some Wonder Under to put it on the fabric to hold it down while I was appliquing it. Now this, I think, is the first time I've ever used Wonder Under, and the first time I did it, I must have not have heated it quite as much, because when I went to the machine, the edges were trying to come up. So the next time I made sure I ironed it down better. And I've also never used the satin stitch on my machine because I just got my machine last year, so I had to kind of play around with that. So this one's got a pretty thick satin stitch, and I decided maybe that was a little too thick, so I made this one a little thinner. But anyway, I think they are fairly straight, and they will keep the edges down and keep from fraying. Also, I forgot to mention that on Thread Riding Hood's website, she gives full instructions on how to make this cape. For her, she had cut out some felt shapes and appliqued them, but I felt like the felt wouldn't be as durable as using cotton. She also used Velcro for the closure on the neck, but I wanted mine a little bit more durable, so I used the cam snaps, and I put 2 so that you can, if it's a smaller neck, you can snap both of them, but if it's a larger child, then you can just do the outer one, and it'll give it a little bit more room. So I thought these turned out really cute. I hope to make several more, because I will have more than 2 boxes for my 2 to 4-year-old boys. Now, one tip about these snaps, they're not that hard to put on, but you don't want to have to remove them. They can be very difficult to remove. The only time I've messed them up and had to remove them was when I decided that I didn't press them enough the first time and I tried to repress them is when I messed them up, because somehow the second time I do it, the little middle parts of them get squished the wrong way. So I would suggest that once you center it up, and here's the little device that you put them on with, and you're going to center your snap up. These things you can press really, really hard without breaking them. And I would do several practice ones. They're very inexpensive to buy, and you can just see how hard you can press. But press them really hard because you don't want to try to press them a second time. And they are removable, and there's a few videos about removing them, but it's not easy. So that's my second gift item for boys 2 to 4. So you can make this all the way up to an adult. You could also make them for girls. Girls like to be superheroes. I thought it'd be cute if you could find like the Incredibles or Superwoman. Also, I think for little girls, if you had like Barbie or the Disney princesses, prints. And then you could use like a bright pink or purple flannel. That would be really cute. So that is my second gift item suggestion. Now the third gift item I made can be for a boy or a girl. And the pattern actually goes from a baby to adult sizes. But I'm going to be making mine probably for this middle age group, which is 5 to 9. And that is this cute bucket hat. This bucket hat is a free pattern by Apple Green Cottage, and I will put a link to the pattern and her tutorial in the description below. This hat pattern is great for using up your scraps because it takes very little fabric. This pattern only has 2 pages to print off. It only has 3 pieces, which is the crown, the side, and the brim of the hat. And you'll cut 2 of these on the fold, and then 2 of these on the fold, and then 1 of these. And then you will repeat that because this hat is also reversible. So you'll make the hat twice, and then you'll sew the layers together. Now here is one I've made for a little girl. I think it's really cute. I put 3 different prints, and these fabrics I believe are all from Hobby Lobby. So it's this way on one side, and then on the other side I made it all in this print, so they can just flip it around and have 2 different hats to wear. Now I really like this pattern. There are a lot of free bucket hat patterns out there. One thing I liked about this one is that it has a lot of top stitching around this brim, which kind of gives the brim a little bit more stability and shape. There's no interfacing in this hat. If you want it to be stiffer, I'm sure you could add some. Now here's one I made that's going to be for a little boy. It's got a little sock monkey print up here, and then it's got just a couple of prints that coordinate with the sock monkey print on this side. And on this side it has just these 2 prints. But I hope to make quite a few of these. They don't really take that long. If you're going to make several, it would be best to like cut everything out at one time, and then when you sit down to sew, it won't take as long. You do have to do some easing between the sides and the crown, and also the brim and the sides require some easing, but even that part's not terribly difficult. It doesn't have like just tons of easing. She talks about making little clips around, and then just using quite a few little pins. So I think those are really cute. If I have time, could even make maybe one size bigger for the 10 to 14-year-olds. But I think little kids have fun wearing hats. And especially if they're in a sunny, warmer climate, this hat will help shield their head and the top of their face from getting sun damage. So that is my third gift item, the bucket hat from Apple Green Cottage. The fourth gift item I made is going to be for the boys in the 10 to 14 year age group. And it is a little knapsack that I just copied from one that I had received from somewhere a few years ago. So I just drafted my own pattern from it. And in the past, I have put these in the older boys' shoeboxes. They're very easy to fold up. They don't take up much room. I make them usually out of a canvas type fabric. And in the past, I've just made them all solid, but I had these two colors of canvas that I thought went well together. So I thought I would kind of make a two-toned one. Now the finished size of this is 16 high by 14 wide. And then if you want to make one just like this, the cutting, what you're going to cut out is a piece that's 35 in height and then 15 inches wide, and that will leave you a ½ inch for a seam allowance. Now if you're going, and then it will just fold all the way up and you won't have a seam right here. And I've got one that I have not finished yet to show you. Now this is a solid one. So this is just one long piece. So you fold it up, do a ½ inch seam allowance on each side. And then what I do is I make a little 1/4 inch hem on the top. And then this is going to fold down. And where it folds down on the outside, you want to leave little slits, openings for the drawstring. So if you're making one just the same size as mine, you would come down from the top 1 3/4 inches. So you'd sew from the top, go and sew down 1 3/4 inches. And then you would skip a ½ inch. And you would go down to the 2½ inches from the top and then sew all the way down from there. And that will leave a little space for the drawstring. So when you fold this down, and I fold mine down 1 1/4 inches. I fold it down 1 1/4 inches and just do a machine hem close to the edge right here. And then your slit is going to be on the outside. Now for the drawstrings, you're going to cut a strip that is about 1 1/2 inches wide, and then you're going to fold it just like bias tape. You're going to fold the two sides to the middle, and then you're going to fold those over. So it comes out to be about 3/8 of an inch wide. And for this certain size, you need about 93 inches for the handles, and then you're going to need 2 2½ inch strips for these little holders down at the corners. And you're just going to take one of the ends of your long strip, you're going to put a safety pin on the end of it, and what I do is I run it up through here, then I put it in to the side slit closest to me, go across, come out this side, then go back down through the other loop over here, then back up, then through the other side of the slit on the other side, run it through here and then out. And then you're going to connect that with this, and you overlap it about a ½ inch to an inch. And then I kind of maneuver it so that where it overlaps is in here somewhere where you don't see it. Then it should lay pretty flat. And for the tabs on the side, I just stick those in even with my seam allowance right at the bottom. And then when you seam it, after you seam it up and turn it, they'll be sticking out like this. So I think that's a great gift for any of the ages of kids, but I usually put mine in the older boys, and then if I make enough of them, I'll maybe put them in the older girls, so they'll have something to put their school supplies in or anything that they want to be able to carry around. For the fifth item, I wanted to make something special for the oldest girl group, and what I decided to make them was a little tote bag. So there are a lot of free tote bag patterns on the internet. So the one I chose to make first is this little pleated tote bag that I had seen on Pinterest. And it is a free pattern by Ellen Luckett Baker. And I will put a link to this below in the description. The finished measurements are around 13 by 13 inches. I made this out of some canvas from Hobby Lobby. I really like working with canvas because it lays nice and flat and still. When you cut it, it stitches really well, it presses great. I love to top stitch on canvas. And then for the inside, it is lined. I just used like a quilter's cotton that kind of coordinated with it. Now this is a pretty easy pattern, especially I think pleats are easier than, gathers. A lot less trouble to do. It also has a boxed corners so that it's got a little bit of a bottom. The only thing that may be a negative about the pattern is that, I like to stick pockets on the outside, and with the pleats, I couldn't really stick pockets on the outside. So what I did for this one, I did use a piece of this canvas to put a pocket, so you can see it, on the inside. And what I did was I just doubled this, and I put the fold edge up here, and I put a couple rows of top stitching, kind of stabilized the edge. And then down here I just left an opening, and then when I was stitching around it, I closed up that opening. Now this is a fairly small pocket. If I was putting a wider pocket, I would probably go ahead and interface this lining just to give it more stability. And if it was a wider pocket also, I'd probably put a stitching line down the middle so that they wouldn't be putting something really large and heavy into it, because I'm afraid that would still drag the pocket down. But this pocket's fairly small, so I didn't interface this lining. So I'm hoping to get several more of these made, maybe even put pockets on each side of the lining to give them more space to carry things. And I'll probably try a few other patterns, since there are so many free tote patterns. I thought the mushroom fabric made it really cute. So this is item number 5. And this I think would work well for the middle age group of the girls or the older ones. But because I don't have time to make them for all the girls' boxes, I'm gonna target the older girls for this one. Now the 6th gift item I made can really be used for any of the age groups, boy or girl. But I probably will be making them for the oldest age group. And what I've made is a zippered pencil bag. Now this bag doesn't necessarily have to be used for pencils. You could put a comb and a brush or hair things or any small collectible items. Now this certain pattern is from Christine of Christine's Home Affairs, and she has a full tutorial on her YouTube channel that I will link below on how to make it. The finished size is about 9 inches by 4 inches. The sides are slightly angled, so it's a little wider at the bottom. It is lined, and I used the same fabric as the tote bag, so I'll probably be putting this with my tote bag. It'll make a cute little set. This was the first time I had used zip tape, and I found it pretty easy to use these zippers. They're just some zip tape off of Amazon that I had gotten. And what Christine does for this one, she attaches a little tab on each end, so that when you're sewing the side seams, you're not going over the teeth, you're just going over the end of the tab. Now, like I said, this was the first time I used this zipper tape. It does have metal teeth, and I was a little nervous about sewing across these metal teeth. So when I got across in the metal teeth, I just kind of hand cranked over them just to make sure it wasn't going to break my needle, and that worked fine. I would say the hardest part about this pouch is not the zipper. Really the only difficult part is when you sew up the sides, this area is super bulky. And I wasn't sure how it was going to look when I turned it out. And it's certainly not as pretty as Christine's. And each side looks a little bit different. But I think all in all, it turned out fine. I think it's really cute. You can leave off the little wrist strap. But since I was making this for a girl, I decided to go ahead and put the little strap on it. But Christine has so many different videos with different styles of zipper bag, and she's really good about going step by step through all of them. So if you want like a bigger bag or a smaller bag or a different bag or a bag with a pocket on the outside, I would just go to her YouTube channel and watch some of her videos. So that's item number 6. One more item to go. Now for my last item, it's just a small item that I self-drafted the pattern. And I call it my multi-purpose small pouch. And this is what it looks like. No zippers, no Velcro. It just has a little opening right here. And why I first made them was I had gotten a batch of these little sunglasses from Amazon. I can't remember if I have like 12 or 16 of them. Quite a few. And I thought it would be nice to make a little pouch or bag to put them in to kind of protect them when they're not wearing them. So I made this little pouch and I lined it with flannel so it wouldn't scratch the lenses of the glasses. And I wanted something that didn't have a zipper or button, and this works out great because it just flips over. Now the finished size of this is about 6 inches by 3 3/4 inches. So all you have to do to make this is you take 2 strips, one of your outer fabric and one of your lining. And for mine are strips are 13 3/4 inch by 4 1/2 inches. So I've got my outer fabric right side together with my lining, and I did 3/8 inch seam allowance on each end. And after I made the seam allowance, I usually did trim it a little bit. And then after that, you turn it, and I just press the ends, and then I top stitch close to the edge for each one. And then after that, all you have to do is, you want your back side to be about 6 inches. So what I did was I turned this side up about 5 1/2 inches. The first one I made, I put this edge all the way up to the top, and I had made the flap like 2 inches, but then I decided the flap didn't really need to be this long, and it kind of was difficult to open because this edge went all the way up to the fold. So I modified it, and I've got a little gap right here. So this goes up 5 1/2 inches, and then on the inside, I turned this side down 1 1/2 inches. But you want to have this on the inside so that when you turn it, it will be the opposite on the outside. So then I just did 3/8 inch seam allowance down each side. And for mine, I kind of curved the corners a little bit in just to make them easier to turn. So that's the steps, very easy. I've got some more. This was my first one that had the 2 inches. And then here's another one that I made. Now, after I made these, I decided they could be used for a lot more things than sunglasses. They could be used for anything small. One thing I usually put in my older boys' boxes, and if I have a lot of them, I'll put them in the girls, and I'll put them in the middle group, but it's a deck of cards. I always find it a little more difficult to buy for the older boys, but I always try to make several up because I have read that the group that gets the least amount of boxes made for them are the older boys group. And sometimes if they don't have enough boy boxes when they go out to a little community, then they will have to get a girls box. So I'm sure they're still appreciative, but it's not as exciting when you're a boy and you're getting a girl's box. But one thing I like to give is a deck of cards, and this deck of cards, even if the box tears up, they can keep their cards in this little pouch. So it's the perfect size for that. Let's see, I think I have glasses in that one. Also, one thing you can put in here, your Hot Wheels are a big item for the smaller boys and even the middle age boys. And these are not really Hot Wheels, but they're the same size. And I found that I could get 4 of the cars in one of these little pouches. I usually do try to give more than one car when I'm giving out the little model cars. But I really like these for the cards. Now, if you gave one to a girl, they could always put like little hair accessories in them. Anything small, marbles. So that is the last item, and that's my multi-purpose. I also had some scraps of fleece. So I tried making a little sunglass holder with it. Now my fleece, it was just a remnant, so it wasn't enough to like double this way, so I had to fold it this way. So what I did was, this is 6 inches tall, but I turned the top down 2 inches. So I've got 8, and then I have a seam allowance down here. And then on the width, I think I made it about maybe 8 inches with the seam allowance. But I just put a fairly wide hem just to kind of give the edge a little stability. But if you've got fleece scraps and you want to make something quick and you have some little sunglasses, these are really quick to make. They're just not going to hold things in like the one with the flap. One thing I forgot to mention when I was talking about the knapsacks, if you don't want to spend a lot of time cutting out the strips for the straps and pressing them and top stitching them, then you can also use some kind of cord like this paracord. And I think I picked this up at Walmart or Hobby Lobby. And so I'm probably going to use some of this because it's about the same width as my straps. And this will just make it even quicker to make. So you don't have to make your own straps. You can use cording like this. Well, that wraps up all my gift items that I'm making for Operation Christmas Child. I have a few more weeks before I have to turn my shoeboxes, so I'm hoping to make several more of each of these items because I've got a lot of boxes to pack. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. And if you did, I hope you give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed already, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button. Also, if you have any items that you're making for Operation Christmas Child or just items that you like to make for children in general, I'd love to hear about those in the comments. And if you enjoy gift idea videos, I'd really like you to let me know that too in the comments. And I will try to make some more in the future. So until I see you in my next video, take care and happy sewing.